kitchen. I'm the Sugar Muse, and this week I'm going to be showing you how to make laminated dough, which we're going to turn into 2 different types of croissants. I'm going to explain everything in explicit detail, so stay tuned and thanks for stopping back by. So I have my ingredients here. I have some milk over here, some yeast, some butter, some salt, extra flour just in case we don't get enough in the dough. We don't want it to be too sticky. Sugar and flour. So first I'm going to add to my bowl, my mixing bowl, the flour. Then I'm going to add my sugar. I'm going to add my yeast. I use instant yeast. I guess you could call it instant yeast. It's the kind that you don't have to dissolve in water. And put my salt in. Go ahead and dump your butter in. And we're gonna add our milk. Lukewarm to warm milk. You don't want it too cold because it might kill the yeast. You don't want it too hot because it could also kill the yeast. We're gonna mix this up until we get a soft, elastic dough. And I'm actually going to zoom in and show you what the dough looks like. Now, as you can see, the dough has come together and it's still shaggy looking. So we're going to let the mixer run and knead it some more, about 5 minutes total, until the dough is no longer shaggy looking, but it's a smooth and elastic dough. So my dough has been going for about 5 minutes. So now I'm going to show you what the dough looks like. Oh, I gotta unlock it first. Here's the dough now. As you can see, it looks significantly more smooth than it was earlier. Earlier it was really shaggy and lumpy looking, and it's tacky, which means when I touch it, it sticks to my fingers, but it doesn't stick to my fingers. It's not like clumps coming off of the dough. Now that the dough is ready, we're going to let it rise, and this can take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, sometimes 3, depending on how cool or warm your kitchen is. So I'm gonna set this in a warm, draft-free location. Cover it so that it doesn't dry your dough out. If you leave your dough uncovered, it'll dry out, and I don't know what happens when you dry out your dough. I've never tried it, so just to be on the safe side, cover your dough. So we want the dough to be twice as big as it is here now. Okay, here's my covered dough. I just put, actually, don't laugh at me, I'm so weird. I use shower caps to cover my bowls because it's easiest. There's elastic in them. They're cheap. You can get like 20 of them for $1. As long as you have not had them on your head, you should be good. Don't use one that you've had on your head. Use a clean shower cap, cover your bowl, put it in a warm place, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's doubled. Okay, so here I'm going to prepare the butter layer of the laminated dough, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 sticks and 2 tablespoons, which is a total of 18 tablespoons of butter. Try to find the best quality butter you can because that makes up a lot of the flavor of the laminated dough. So I have my 18 tablespoons of butter, which is also 2 sticks and 2 tablespoons. And I have 2 tablespoons of flour here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into my stand mixer. Okay, so here I have my butter that I have cut the sticks into chunks or pats, slices, whatever you want to call it. So I've cut the butter into those little chunks, and I'm gonna dump them into my mixer. Because you're supposed to use cold butter, not frozen butter, just cold butter. The butter is firm. It's not smushy, it's firm to the touch. It's hard to smash. So it's firm and very, very cool, like pretty much right out of the refrigerator. If you need to, let it sit for a few minutes if it's too firm, but it's supposed to be firm right out of the refrigerator. See, I don't even leave a dent. And to that, I'm going to add my flour, and I'm going to beat that together for a few minutes until it's combined. Now the flour is to strengthen the butter so that the butter layer is more durable during the rolling and folding and turning process. I'm gonna get those chunks off because we want them to get smashed as well, but they're in the paddle, so we're gonna get those out really quick. And then we're gonna run it again. Okay, so this is how the butter looks. Looks like beaten butter. I don't know how else to describe it. Looks like beaten butter, slightly smoother than it was before. Certainly not in those pats of butter that they were in before. Okay, so now we're going to form our butter into a block. Here I have an 8" by 8" square pan that I have lined with plastic wrap. I put one strip of plastic wrap going this way, and I put one strip of plastic wrap going this way. So that way I covered the whole pan, and I have flaps on each side to fold over the butter once I get it into the pan. So here's my beaten butter that we beat in the mixer, and I scraped it away from the edge of the bowl. And I'm going to now scrape it out of the bowl. It's still pretty firm. And I'm going to put it in here. Make sure you get all of it out, because the success of your recipe depends on your butter. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to try my best to mash this as flatly as possible with this sticky spatula without disturbing my plastic wrap too much. So today you guys are going to learn improvisation, because this is not wanting to cooperate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and fold our flaps over. I will not be defeated by butter. So I'm going to take my packet out, and now I should have a barrier on the side, and I'm going to roll it out. And see, the plastic wrap is going to stop the butter from going, I guess, too far. And it'll kind of give it a rough square shape. As even as possible while it's still pretty malleable. Don't go too long because you don't want to. So I'm going to take my butter and I'm going to put it into the refrigerator, and it's going to set up in the fridge while my dough gets ready. So I'll be back when it's time to put the dough and the butter together. Okay, so as you can see, here is the dough, and it's been raising for about 2 hours. So this means that your yeast is alive. Your dough is also alive because of the yeast. But your yeast is alive, so your dough is proofed, fermented, and now I'm going to knock it down. See there? Knock the air out of it. I'm gonna take my scraper. I'm gonna go around and knock all the air out. And there, that's what it looks like once you knock the air out. Now you can see that it's back to the size it originally was. The whole goal is you want your dough to become thoroughly chilled, because after this we're going to incorporate the butter into the dough to make layers of butter and dough. So go ahead, cover your dough back. Same plastic used before for the proofing. Cover it back up, wrap it well, and stick it in the fridge or the freezer for at least an hour. You could even do this overnight, but I'm only gonna go for an hour. Now I'm going to show you how to layer the dough and the butter. Here I have my big butter sheet, and it's still fairly solid from being in the refrigerator. But over here in my sink I have 2 Ziploc bags with ice, so I'm just gonna stick the butter on top of the ice to keep it cool while I roll out the dough. Here's my dough. It's pretty firm and cool from being in the refrigerator, which is what we want. Now I'm going to take the dough out of the bowl. We don't want to drop it on the floor, so be careful. And I'm going to try to form it into as much of a rectangle as I can get it, because that's how we want to roll it out. So quickly I'm going to measure my butter, and it is 8.5 inches across, so we'll just round it up to 9 inches. That is the width we want our dough to be, because we're going to lay this on top and encase the butter in the dough. So we want to roll our dough out to roughly that width. So we're going to put down just a little bit of flour just so it doesn't stick. You don't want too much flour, because then you'll make your dough tough. This is pretty much the same idea with all dough. You don't want to make it tough, so you just want just enough flour so it doesn't stick. See, a little bit of sticking. Just a little bit of flour. So now our dough is a foot across and it is a little more than 12 inches. It's about 13 inches long. I'm gonna measure our butter, and this is actually a good length. So I'm going to unwrap the butter. I can see now that my butter is not going to cooperate. We're gonna make it do. So we're just gonna mash that back down. And we're gonna put it on the end of the dough, not right in the middle, because that would make it hard to fold it the way we're gonna fold it. If you have to, stick your butter back in the freezer for a few minutes if it's melted on the edges like mine was. So what we're gonna do is take the edge, fold it over like that, bring this other edge up, fold it over like that. And you don't want any of your butter at the edges. You want your, that's why you want your dough to be bigger than the butter, because that way the butter is sealed in. So now we're going to do our turns. Now what the turns are is we're going to roll out the dough and fold it. Every time you roll it out and fold it like the letter, just like we did now, that's one turn. You want to do a total of 4 turns. So I'm going to lightly flour, because if your dough sticks, it'll destroy your layers. You don't want the butter to come through. Lightly flour and roll. So as you can see, I've gotten this out to a nice size. So here's where I'm going to end my last turn. And I'm going to fold it over like a letter once more. And that was 4 total turns for me. Now I'm going to wrap it back in plastic and I'm going to return it to the refrigerator. You want to refrigerate your dough after the 4 total turns. 4. You want to refrigerate your dough for a minimum of 4 to 6 hours. 12 to 24 hours is even better. I'm gonna go for 12. So I will come back and show you how to roll out your dough and fold it for croissants and chocolate croissants. Okay, so now we're going to roll out the dough and form the croissants and the pain au chocolats. I am going to divide the dough in half and use half for the croissants and half for the chocolate croissants. Now here's the dough that I made last night, and as you can see, it looks a lot puffier than it was last night, and that's because I tightly wrapped it in plastic wrap and the yeast went to work. I'm gonna press it so that you can press out that air. I'm gonna use 2 of the chocolate sticks for each one. You could order chocolate batons. That's what they traditionally use, but I find that regular chocolate works just as well. So I'm gonna start by cutting the dough in half with my trusty bench scraper. Okay, so this half we're gonna save for later. Stick it back in the fridge. So you want a little flour on your counter because you don't want your dough to stick. Because the same as when you're making the dough, if you stick it, you'll destroy the layers. I want to roll it to about 1/4 of an inch thickness, because after the croissants are formed, they're gonna set to rise just like regular bread, and that's where a lot of the texture comes from, is the rise. So you don't want this dough to be really thick, or you'll have really extremely thick, odd croissants. So you wanna roll the dough fairly thin. I'm going to divide my dough as best down the middle. I'm gonna mark off without actually cutting the dough. So that way use it for something else later. Okay, so I marked 6. We're just gonna use the 5 and we're gonna set the other one aside and use it for croissants. Okay, so I'm gonna take the chocolate and I'm gonna put it on one end of the dough and I'm gonna roll that over. And before I get to the second turn, I'm gonna put another piece of chocolate right there. So it's dough, chocolate, and then more dough. And I'm gonna roll it completely up. And as you can see, that's what it looks like. And you're gonna press it kinda to seal it. If you have to, you can use a little bit of water. I think that's what I'm gonna do. A little bit of water, just so that it'll stay sealed. So I'm going to set these aside on a baking sheet, and then I'm gonna show you how to form the croissants. So what you're gonna do is even out your triangle, if it's not already even, and pull the ends so that you stretch it out. Gently, don't go crazy with it. Just kind of gently stretch it out. Now in this, the flat end, the bottom of the triangle, I'm gonna cut a little slit. And that is to help with the rolling when you roll the croissant. And I'm gonna start rolling. Just take those little ends, press them away from each other, like so, and start rolling. And there you go. Well, here I have the croissants and the chocolate croissants, and I've put them on separate baking sheets, on parchment lined baking sheets, because they have slightly different baking times. And what I'm going to do is just lightly cover them with the plastic wrap. Don't wrap them tightly, because if you do that, you'll crush them. Let them set at room temperature for 3 hours. If you put them someplace warm, you'll melt the butter, and that will totally defeat the purpose of making the butter layers. And the croissant dough and the chocolate croissants have been rising for about 3 hours now, and as you can see, they're much puffier than they were. Okay, so now I'm going to take my egg wash and I'm going to very lightly brush it onto the chocolate croissants and the regular croissants. So here we are. Everything is brushed. The pomme de chocolates are going to go into the oven for 25 minutes, 400 degrees, and the croissants are going to go in for about 20 minutes.
These are the finished croissants with chocolate and milk chocolate.
Okay, so here is the finished product. They just came out of the oven like within the last 5 minutes. And these are the regular croissants, and here's the chocolate croissant. And I'm going to break one open and let my tester try it out. As you can see, they are really hot. See all those flaky layers in there? That's all that butter rolling hard work. So there we go. I hope you try this recipe and I hope you enjoy it.